The moment a child starts getting miserable, there is the assumption that it's teeth related. And back in the 19th century, so 1800s, it was actually thought to be a major cause of death. Nearly 5% of all infants that died in 1842 in London were listed as teething as the cause of death.
That is wild.
Like, I know teething is bad, but I don't think anyone is literally thinking that their child's teeth erupting is going to take them out. You're listening to the Science Baby podcast with me, Leila.
And me, Kim.
We're two nerdy mums who've researched the crap out of parenthood.
Seriously, you do not want to see our internet search histories.
Each episode we chat about the why behind pregnancy, birth and everything that comes after.
Because babies don't come with a manual, but with one born every minute, we think we can figure it out.
How are you?
I'm not well. We've been constantly sick in some form or another for the last 2 to 3 weeks.
'Tis the season.
And my husband has developed a suspicious rash that is probably hand, foot and mouth.
Oh gosh, where is said rash?
Well, it was everywhere except for his hands, feet and mouth, which is why I didn't buy it for ages. I was very resistant to the dramatically proclaiming that it was hand, foot and mouth, but it's now appeared everywhere that it's supposed to.
So presumably Stella had it first.
So we think so. Again, she was very snotty last week, and both our children were sent home from nursery at various times, as I understand it.
Yes, that's right.
So we've had some sicky kids, and she's been really snotty and had a weird rash on her arms, which I was convinced was because I'd given her an acidic puree with some peppers and tomatoes and stuff, which then irritated her skin. But anyway, weird rashes, inconsistent rashes, but she's fine.
I swear to God, if I got paid for the amount of time I Googled rashes.
I know. Oh,
I mean, Felix hasn't got the best skin. It's not too bad, but yeah, he had dry skin, he had eczema, he's had hives, he's had chicken pox. He gets just random rashes, and I need a picture book of rashes to compare with. But yes, I remember the hand, foot and mouth. That was a particularly unpleasant one. It came to us just as we were departing on our first holiday as a family. On a cruise around the Mediterranean. Yeah, it was bad. It was so bad for him. He was all blisters for his hands and feet. And then I caught it and had to walk around Barcelona on blisters, which was fantastic.
why do these things happen at the worst times?
Absolutely.
Cruise ships famously really chill with infectious diseases.
Yeah, we kind of kept him swaddled, hidden. Just didn't tell anyone. It's all kind of old people that wanted to coo over him, and we're like, oh no, he's funny with people.
I was quite surprised by the NHS advice on hand, foot and mouth, which was basically...
Send them to nursery?
Yeah, if they're well enough, they can go. It's not going to make any difference. It's so infectious. Everyone's going to get it anyway.
Isn't it something like the infectious period is plenty before most of their symptoms come out anyway, so everyone's screwed already?
Yeah, you've already given it to everyone. Congratulations.
Yeah, so you might as well send your child to school.
Yeah. Oh, God. She coped really well. She's just had a horrible, horrible cough that's really ruining her sleep. Mm-hmm. And is Felix well?
Currently, touching all of the wood, crossing all of the digits. He's well, yes. Well and truly annoying. No, it's nearly 3. He's just very... I can't believe I'm saying that. He's nearly 3. He's going to be 3 next month. That's mental, isn't it? Cool. I really don't know how I've managed that, but there we are. Yeah, we're fine. I think he was so ill this time last year. We had one thing after another. I think his immune system is that of an ox now. And so it's going to take something pretty hefty to knock him out these days. So, yeah, that's just great. The occasional sniffle and vomit. But, yeah, it's all good. We're all good.
There's no way around it, is there, other than through? You've just got to throw them in the cesspit of disease and hope they come out the other side.
Can't go over it. Can't go under it. Got to go through it. Are you familiar with that book? I'm guessing by the blank face.
Are you okay?
We're going on a bear hunt.
Oh, I'm yet to have the pleasure.
It's one of Felix's favourite ones at the moment. We're going on a bear hunt. We're going to catch a big one. It's a beautiful day. We're not scared. But the repeated refrain is, we can't go over it. We can't go under it. We've got to go through it.
That's excellent, and a very good lesson both in terms of forest walks and biology.
And just life.
Immunity.
Just got to get the F through it.
God. Oh, good. I'm pleased. Well done, Felix.
Well
done.
Good. And that's your family. How are you? Are you just standing like a rock in the ebbing tide?
Ebbing tide of life. Yeah, good. Yeah. What's new in my life? Oh, well, I'm quite excited. Stella's got her 9 to 12 month developmental review tomorrow.
Exciting.
So it's the first. It's the first exam she's ever had. So I'm quite excited. We've got a questionnaire.
Oh, gosh.
Which I'm sure you remember. So it's all very exciting. I'm quite looking forward to that.
Oh, I'd be very interested to hear how that goes next week. Felix failed his developmental review. I almost disowned him.
Did he get a B-?
No, he got like a C-. I'd like to talk about developmental reviews. I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Next week's topic?
Yes, I was going to say, genuinely, totally agree that it would be a really interesting thing to talk about, because you obviously have thoughts, you have lots of experience of this. I would have just gone through it, so maybe we should.
Yeah, let's do it.
Great idea.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
So that's not the only new thing with Stella, is it? She's got some prominences.
Toothers. She has got 4 tooths now.
Amazing. So presumably front ones, top and bottom?
Yeah, so we will get onto this, but she's been following the script beautifully so far. So she had her bottom 2 within a day of each other, just before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's had a tougher time this time, and she's got her top 2 incisors coming through at exactly the same time. They've erupted like same day.
Amazing.
And they're sort of on the move. They seem to be slower than her bottom 2 and causing her much more aggro.
Mm-hmm.
That is my scientific observation so far.
I remember being absolutely obsessed with teeth around that age, and I would constantly have my finger in his mouth going, are they coming, can I feel them, can I see it poking through his gums, and can I feel it with my hand? And he was probably royally sick of having my fist in his mouth.
Just like, it really hurts, I really wish he wouldn't do this. Yeah, I love when you start to feel the sharpness.
You're like,
It's
oh,
just
it's
the
here,
coolest
it's
thing.
here, oh my god, it's so exciting. And I remember I used to go to like playgrounds. There's a playground just around the corner from where we live, and see other kids playing. That I've always been really bad at gauging the age of somebody else's child, and so this child would look barely older than Felix in my eyes, and then they'd smile and they'd be like a mouthful of teeth. And I've literally said to several parents, I don't see them anymore. I can't understand why, but I've said, haven't you got a lot of teeth? Oh, haven't you got a mouthful of teeth? I'm like, my God, you're so weird. Don't talk to people like that.
I would like to take them for my collection.
I love teeth. Have you got big ones?
This is why we probably shouldn't have been allowed to have children, because we are weird. Make it weird. We're nerds.
Make it weird. It's too late now. We've got them.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Take them away? Well, they can. Yeah. So,
yes. No, I totally agree. And there is also, in your defence, huge amount of variation. Like, teeth can come through really early, really late. It's mad.
So Felix got his between Christmas and New Year. So he would have been about 9 months old with his first. So a little bit on the later side. But then they seem to come with surprising relentlessness. And actually, he got his molars way ahead of schedule, to the point where like I wasn't even looking out for it. Like I think he got all of his teeth before he was 2, so 1 to 2 was a pretty heavy thing, you know. And he struggled a little bit to begin with, but we didn't even notice the molars coming in because they were. I think he was totally just like whatever. Just I make teeth now. Here we go. Boom.
Yeah, this is my life now. And one thing that I have thought about since Stella started getting her teeth is, one, like how weird it looks to have an only partially erupted tooth, and how strange it is that we have teeth. You can kind of get quite existential, can't you?
Why teeth?
Fun fact, are you a fan of the Ologies podcast?
No, I don't think I even know of it.
Oh, it's excellent. So each episode is a different ology, essentially.
Amazing.
With a guest who is an expert in that ology. And weirdly, the one that came up this morning that I listened to is the origin of teeth and why we get teeth. And did you know that teeth first appeared in the fossil record on the outside of fish?
Is that right?
Yes.
The mouth parts of fish, or just
No.
all over the outside?
On the outside.
How bizarre.
Really weird, and the jury stood out on why. And of course, there's lots of caveats to that, in that, you know, teeth are technically now defined as something in the jaw, so whether you're happy to call them teeth or not. But they are the first kind of examples of dental tissues, and they were on the outside of fish. Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I will
Yes.
go and look at that podcast and add it to my ever-growing list of podcasts I need to listen to. This is my
good
problem. I
luck.
just don't have enough time to listen to podcasts. I've been trying to listen to them at the gym, but I realise I can't count and listen at the same time. So
Yeah, it's annoying when they're engaging. So what I was going to say as well is, like, it's weird that we have teeth. If you think about it too much, you'll go insane. But also, how strange for a baby to be undergoing the process of tooth eruption. It's just like, what now? What fresh hell is this? I've just learnt to see.
a baby's existence is constant. I mean, it's little wonder that they're so bad-tempered all the time, because it's just like one thing after another, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Completely.
You know, eyesight, brain. Oh, now I have to learn how to use these wobbly noodle things at the end of my torso. And now bones erupting through my flesh.
My actual bones are coming through. It's mad. Have you seen an X-ray of a baby's skull?
Oh my god, if you haven't, there's one on the Wikipedia page for teething, which unfortunately I have open right in front of me right now, and it is disgusting.
It's so grim, isn't it?
So that picture is literally, you've got all the teeth that are up in the mouth part, but then you've got all the teeth in waiting as well, haven't you? So it does look shark-like almost, of just these ranks of hideous protrusions. Yeah, it's not something I ever would like to see in person. Thank you very much.
It looks like something out of Predator. And that's the first time I ever saw that image. That was so surprising to me, because I kind of had this like assumption in my head that, oh, they kind of form and then pop through, form and then pop through, and there's a bit of a tooth factory going on. But no, quite a lot happens before birth. And then there's just this kind of process of the teeth moving. And I think that is all very interesting, because we didn't really know what that was all about until recently, did we?
And we still don't really have a very good idea. Like, scientists still don't really know how teeth come up, which is mental. I suppose it's slightly unethical to, you know, chop up a baby's mouth for the sake of it. But like so many things, teeth start growing crazy early in a pregnancy. So it's something like 6 weeks into a pregnancy.
Is that at the same time as the skeleton's developing?
Yeah, I think so. And when we say developing, we haven't got like a mini everything in there. They're buds, they're kind of like these potent tissues that are then going to start to carve out space within the growing fetus and eventually ossify, turn solid, basically. So those baby teeth are growing the whole part of pregnancy, which is mental.
Yeah. Oh, you could make it really weird, couldn't you? Know how people are like, oh, you know, your little baby has fingernails now.
Yeah.
Here comes Leila. Did you know your baby's got teeth now? Did you know that?
It's got your teeth, got molars. So obviously there are teeth, and they are sitting inside the fleshy outer of a body, and at some point they have to come out. And so why do we have teeth? Like, the whole point of teeth is for chewing food, right?
Mechanical digestion.
Mechanical digestion. And babies don't need teeth straight away because they're drinking milk early on. And at some point later on, they will need teeth to start to do that mechanical digestion. And so there is a process by which those teeth that have formed come up through the gums. And what I find absolutely fascinating is that scientists still don't know exactly how that happens. So there's been loads of different theories. I, like you said, imagined it kind of growing into place, right? So you start with a crown and then the top edge, and then the bottom bit grows down, and that makes it go up. So that was one genuine theory, but that's probably not the case because the tooth is already formed in there. Another theory was that the tooth was formed, but the bone around it wasn't formed. And so as the bone kind of grew and inflated, that then pushed the teeth up. Again, probably not that. And then there was this amazing theory called the cushioned hammock theory, which was very popular in the 30s, where they thought that there was kind of like a trampoline underneath the tooth, whether it was like blood vessels or a ligament or something, like some soft tissue essentially that sat underneath the tooth and bounced it up. This cushioned hammock kind of goes whoop and pushes it up. And the reason for that is that somebody prepared some microscope slides of some teeth where you can see all the cells, and they thought they saw this kind of soft tissue. And so this theory, the cushioned hammock theory, was taught for like 20 years in textbooks, medical people. And then when they went back to look at it, they realised that actually he'd made a mistake in preparing the slide, and it was like a wrinkle in the soft tissue in the microscope slide.
That's mental. I'd heard of that theory, but I didn't know it was taught as if it was correct.
Yeah, for like
schools.
20 years.
Oh, we try our best, don't we?
But it turns out that it is probably more accurate than a lot of the other theories, because still not entirely sure how, but they think that it's the ligaments or fibres in the gums attached to the sides of the teeth. So if you've got your tooth with its root going down, like imagine little ropes attaching to the root and hauling it up, like on the sides. And they think that that's the main driver for getting teeth up. So it's sort of moderated more by the soft tissues than it is by the hard tissues, I think, is what they're thinking.
Yeah, and I guess that would explain the fact that all babies, in general, tend to be born with all their teeth. So the variation in the eruption of teeth when it starts and in what order is this secondary process rather than teeth growing at different times.
Exactly, yeah. And then the soft tissues continue to play a part, because traditionally teething, the appearance of teeth in a baby's mouth used to be called cutting teeth, which I didn't realise until I had a baby. And I was like, God, that sounds horrendous. But, like, it makes sense because the teeth are cutting through the gums and the baby's unhappy about it. So you would think, okay, well, literally, is this razor-sharp brand new tooth slicing through their gums? But actually, if you think about it, if you've ever seen teething, it's very rarely accompanied by blood or any actual injury. And what's happening is that when teeth are coming up, there are hormones that are pumped to the area above the tooth that basically cause programmed cell death. And they cause the cells to die in between. And then that creates a little gap, like a little buttonhole, if you like, for the tooth to push up through without actually causing damage to the gums. And I always thought that was fascinating. There's this chemical dance as well.
Yeah, completely. Until we were researching for this podcast episode, I was 100% certain that the teeth were cutting through the gums and causing injury. 100%. I would have put money on it. And it makes total sense because, of course, the gums are a known site for pathogens to get into the bloodstream really quickly. You know, if you cut your gum, you can introduce some really nasty things directly into your bloodstream. So it doesn't make any sense that there would be injury there when a baby is young and vulnerable multiple times.
Yeah, it's like over and over again. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like once a molar comes up, that's a proper surface area. And if that were going to cut through the gum, that is going to cause major trauma to those areas. And like you say, if that's unregulated, then there is a chance for a major infection. And as we know, babies do like to put things in their mouth.
Not great. So teething turns out very clever.
Very clever.
Again, evolution. Excellent.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So as you mentioned, the timing and the order is a bit loosey-goosey, isn't it? But there tends to be a pattern. And as you've seen, Stella started with the little gnashers at the front, the incisors. So the incisors come out first. It is typically the bottom ones that come first. And that's around 6 months. Now, I find it quite funny that a lot of parents try to invoke early teething with their child. Every time their child gets a bit drooly or a bit crotchety, a bit grumpy. I think we went to the doctors when he was about 4 months and he was really moist around the mouth. And I was like, oh, it must be teething. And he's like, no, it's not. Oh, okay. Oh. Right, fine. Right. Okay. Turns out it wasn't. He didn't get a tooth for another 5 months. So there we go.
God. Well, I don't have the scientific research for this, but I have been told anecdotally that teeth can be on the move months before they start to properly erupt. So
I've also heard that, yeah.
And I don't actually know if that's true or whether that's just, like you say, the invocation of teething to explain any ill in the first 6 months of a baby's life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd be tempted to read the background of that conclusion as there is a lot of variability and you can't really know what's going on inside your child's mouth at any one point. So, yeah, maybe they are on the move, maybe they are pushing up against it for some time before the gums are ready to separate and open the curtains to this new tooth. But it's not something that's very easy to diagnose, I suspect.
No, unless you're Dr. Leila and you've constantly got your fingers in your son's mouth because you're a scientist.
If anybody would have known, it would have been me. But
I'm on it, guys. I'm on it. I got double fingered.
You have to be watching the video version of this podcast to understand what was happening right there.
I think, look, let's leave it up to people's imaginations. And so, I'm thinking, so Stella's came through in the right order so far. She was 7 months, so she was also a bit later than the average. What did you say about Felix? Was he 9 months before he got his
9
first
months
two?
his first one, but then they sort of came pretty non-stop after that, so we were getting at least one a month or a pair a month after that. So yeah, it was pretty relentless. Yeah. So you start with all your incisors at the front. I like to think of you biters. So you get your first two, top and bottom, and then you get your next two on either side, top and bottom. But then it doesn't carry on around the mouth at that point. It jumps back into the molars.
Okay.
And so a lot of people hate that, just to prepare you. Because the molars are a bigger thing and they're less easy to get at with teething aids and things like that. So, yeah, not a lot of fun. So you get the first molars, so the front set of molars. Those are your chewers. And only then do you come back and fill in the gap. So there is a moment where kids have got this really cute little gap between their front teeth and these chunkers at the back. And so your canines, your tearers, as I like to think of them, come in, not last because you've still got more molars to come, but they kind of complete the picture at the front. That's the canines come in later on. So all of that is taking place within that year, between their first and second birthdays, basically. And some of the molars might carry on coming up after their two. And as I say, Felix was just like, once he'd got into the business of making teeth, that was it. We're going to do tooth.
But he was like, I'm good at this.
Yeah. But some babies, they typically come up in pairs with symmetry. But Felix has got a little friend who didn't get one of her incisors until like after her molars had come through or something. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird timing.
Yeah, and I think it must be a really complicated picture in terms of the genetics and all of the feedbacks and factors at play with tooth eruptions. So it's no wonder that there is this kind of huge variability from person to person.
What might cause the variability? Is it anything to worry about if they come out late or the timing is weird?
What I found out is that most of it is actually genetically determined. So the timing and the order of when your teeth come through tend to be explained by your genetics to about 70 to 95%, something like that. And then a smaller but significant proportion can be caused by the environment. But yeah, it's really interesting because, for example, I didn't get my teeth till I was 1. I didn't get any teeth till I was 1.
Oh, wow.
I was this gummy little troll walking around with no teeth in my mouth. Hello, mummy. I was probably speaking in sentences, God knows. So I did worry my mum, and I think she was reassured that, no, she's still kind of within the... I mean, she's pushing it, but she's still within the normal window. So I was just a late toother. And apparently, to your point about the molars being a bit difficult, apparently I dealt with teething quite well, and it didn't really bother me, probably because I was, a teenager by that point, essentially.
You were interested in boys before your teeth came out, yeah.
100%,
exactly.
yeah. And funnily enough, they weren't that interested in me until after I got teeth.
Funny that.
So
that's strange, weird. Yeah.
And there's obviously some weird genetics going on there, because I also, you probably noticed, have little peg teeth. I've got stupid little incisors. So
those are your incisors, are they? I see.
Yeah, they're my they're small incisors. And they're called peg teeth, and they're basically, it's just when your genetics doesn't form teeth right. And quite common. And also I have at least one missing adult tooth. So I had a milk tooth extracted because I cracked it or something. Fully expected it to be replaced within a couple of weeks. Never happened. So I've just got a weird gap in my mouth. So my genetics is obviously a bit strange, and so that probably does explain why my teeth were a bit late coming in, because there's something going on under the hood there. But there is a surprisingly lenient window of kind of normalcy, if we will allow ourselves to use the term normal. So I have almost a full mouth of teeth now, and I didn't start getting teeth till I was pretty old. There is another set of factors that can slightly adjust the timing of when your teeth erupt. that are determined by the environment. Obviously, really difficult to unpick genetics from environment, as we know from other subjects. But when your teeth come through earlier than normal, that can sometimes be associated with things like smoking in pregnancy. It's also been linked with lower socioeconomic situation.
Isn't everything?
Down with capitalism! Haha, we got it in. So all these things which seem quite random can be associated with little babies getting their teeth earlier. But what another study found is that earlier teethers are correlated with mums who have higher cortisol. So that's the stress hormone. So it seems that high stress can make your baby erupt their teeth earlier.
That's interesting.
And if we look at lower socioeconomic status, smoking in pregnancy, anything else, these things can come hand in hand with stress. So it seems that there is some signal that suggests that stress can cause your child to teeth earlier, which may make sense.
It's interesting because you'd imagine that a lot of these kind of negative factors would cause a delay in development. And, in a lot of other things, you might see developmental delays in terms of brain function and, motor function or whatever. But what you're saying is it's actually causing the teeth to come up earlier.
Yeah, if you're looking just at the timing, yes. And there are other competing factors, like nutritional deficiencies can make your mineralization go wonky and can probably delay onset of teeth or potentially make your teeth less healthy or something like that. But there is this kind of strange, like you say, quite counterintuitive pattern that a lot of scientists have spotted. One hypothesis I've heard is that, going back to this idea of epigenetics, where kind of stress in one organism can switch on and switch off certain genes that then affect the expression of genes in later organisms that come later down the genetic line. There is this idea that potentially maternal stress can indicate maybe a lack of good food, maybe the mum might not be able to produce as much milk if she's stressed, and so this baby kind of ramping up the process of getting ready to eat solids and being able to have a more varied diet is potentially quite useful when resources are low. That's one hypothesis, which is so interesting.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. It's crazy to think of that. You get this signal, you have a stressful time in your pregnancy, and then your baby comes out ready for a fight, basically.
Yeah. Ready to eat a chicken drumstick.
And deck someone. Yeah.
These scientists are doing incredibly detailed and demanding statistical analysis. So some of these signals may well disappear or become recontextualized with more data, with more analysis. But I just think that's super interesting and very counterintuitive.
I mean, that sort of plays into thinking about why teeth come out in that particular order as well, because it's almost following a functional path of what a baby is going to need when they start to eat. So the first thing they're going to encounter is foods that they need to essentially make small enough to go in their mouth. So that's the first skill, is being able to bite, and that's why your biters come first. And then the grinders, once you've mastered the biting, maybe you might be tackling harder foods or a wider range of textures, and so that's when your grinders, your molars, come through next to be able to process that sort of slightly more complex texture. And then you've got your canines. They're kind of less important because they're sort of implicated in a more nuanced way of eating, which is tearing, which is only for specific kinds of food. You don't need to tear at a root vegetable, but you do for flesh or something like that. And so baby nutritional needs are sort of tied in with their motor skills of eating, but also their physical development of kind of the apparatus for that eating as well.
Yeah, it feels like it's a highly efficient process, teething.
Thank you, evolution.
Aha! When you think about it, you're like, oh, it makes total sense that they're not there to begin with, and then they come through in this particular order. So it goes back to the ignorance that I displayed at the beginning of this podcast, where I was like, that's weird, why would they do that? So yeah, it turns out science is why they would do that.
We've gone to all this great length, putting babies through hell for emerging teeth whilst they're young, only for them to all fall out again.
And then they make a fortune out of their parents.
Yeah, particularly looking forward to that phase of my life. The fact that baby teeth fall out makes them deciduous teeth.
Oh, that's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's the technical term for them, the deciduous teeth. But yeah, I question, like, why is this necessary? Why should we go to great lengths to create teeth that then are going to fall out? We're not sharks. You know, sharks have great rows of teeth that they're constantly replacing because they are breaking them, essentially, on food, and they're constantly needing to keep them sharp. We're not in that situation. We're not elephants where we're growing them constantly. You know, we don't have these great columns of grinding teeth for one particular food group. The teeth that a child has are perfectly adequate for eating with. So why do we need to change them? Basically, our teeth, once they're grown, and this was shown in our understanding of how they were erupting, once they're grown, they are fixed little units. They don't change once they've formed. And unlike elephant teeth, which keep growing, we create these little bibbles, these little hardened things, and an adult's tooth to fit in an adult skull would be far too big to fit in a child's skull. Like, have a look, next time you look at Stella, compare the size of your teeth and your mouth with that of hers, and imagine just, like, pasting your jaw onto her.
Imagine a tiny child with massive... You'd have something to say about that, wouldn't you, in the playground?
I would. I'd be like, look at that mouthful of teeth. Oh, my goodness. Who'd you steal them from?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so basically, they're just too big. Adult teeth are too big for babies. And if you kept your baby teeth, you'd just end up with these tiny little ineffectual bibbles in our adult-sized jaws. And they wouldn't be effective as chewing, biting, tearing apparatus. And so there is, like, this necessity as the bone, because bone is constantly growing. That's, you know, it's wet. I love that. Bones are wet. It's got a blood supply. Bone is a living organ, essentially, whereas teeth are more kind of ornamentation, in a way.
Ornamental?
Yeah, well, they were on those fish, weren't they?
I'm not sure if the scientists went that far. Yeah, they're just ornamental. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry.
I didn't know this because I made a fool of myself in front of my dentist recently. And basically said, this is my first checkup since having a baby and I'm still breastfeeding and I've been really laissez-faire about my supplements. So I'm a bit worried that I'm low in calcium and that my teeth are all going to fall out. And apparently that is not a thing. Don't worry about it. Because, as you say, your teeth are fully formed when they are erupted in your mouth. And so, essentially, you've built them, you've done the work, excellent. You just need to look after them now. Whereas your bones are these living tissues which are constantly being grown and regenerated. So, basically, a calcium deficiency in pregnancy or during breastfeeding or at any point will impact your skeletal health. So that's where you presumably, I'm not a biologist, presumably you've kind of got an active ongoing process of mineralization where you've got calcium and phosphorus doing all sorts of things to keep your bones healthy and dense. So a deficiency in those minerals will impact the health of your skeleton, whereas with your teeth, they're already built. So actually you don't need to worry too much about a deficiency there. So it is your skeleton that you really are looking after with all those supplements, which I found very interesting. And
It
again,
is
makes
very
total sense.
It does,
Yeah.
because the teeth are already formed, and yet your bones are wet.
Oh, why do you have to say that again? Oh, God. Why do you, like, biology types have to make it weird? Ugh.
Anyway, yeah, so it seems obvious once you actually say it out loud, but yeah, babies need to lose their teeth because they're too small for grown-ups, and they can't start with grown-up teeth because that would be horrendous.
That would be horrific. So it feels like the brain thing. So babies have to have a tiny little brain so that they don't kill us in childbirth, but then a big, massive brain so that they can do clever stuff. So that nature just said, cool, well, we'll just grow a massive brain really quickly.
Did you know that smoking takes 10 years off a smoker's life? I mean, we all know smoking's bad for us. Did you also know that living in poverty, takes 10 years off of your life as well? Shocking, isn't it? Considering it's not the same as filling your lungs with toxins every day. And did you know that if you live in poverty, not only are you likely to live 10 years less, but your neighbors and yourself, you'll probably have at least one health condition. 50% of you will actually have 2. 25% of you will have 3 or more. So not only are you going to live a shorter life, you're going to live it in worse health. And what's really shocking, what the real kicker is that if you are living in a nicer neighborhood, well, it doesn't really matter if you smoke. You're still going to live longer. And for the first time in generations, we are not living as long as the generation before us. If you live in poor circumstances, your health is impacted. When a country is unhealthy, it does poorly across the board. All of these forces are coming together to create a perfect storm to make Britain unhealthy. Welcome to Sick Society, a prestige health and society podcast hosted by myself, Dr. Alexis Payton, and my co-host, Sir Andrew Goddard. Each season, we explore the social, political, and economic forces that are shaping our health, from climate change to misinformation. Listen to Sick Society today, wherever you get your podcasts.
Of course, it's all very unpleasant for the baby. The fact that they have to first get a whole set of teeth and then they have the nightmare of getting the whole new set of teeth. So there's a lot of mythology around how ill it makes them.
Yeah, I mean, lots of parents, the moment a child starts getting miserable, during those first couple of years, there is the assumption that it's teeth related. And back in the 19th century, so 1800s, it was actually thought to be a major cause of death, which is crazy. Like, teething was listed as a cause of death for like a surprising number of infant deaths. So I found a statistic that said nearly 5% of all infants that died in 1842 in London were listed as teething as the cause of death.
That is wild.
Like, I know teething is bad, but I don't think anyone is literally thinking that their child's teeth erupting is going to take them out.
Goodness me, no. What would be causing the actual death? Presumably just anything else.
Yeah, well, look at the symptoms when a child is teething. When, like, obviously the tooth is coming through, and if you're not a weird obsessive like me that's constantly got their hands in a child's mouth, they are going to be more unhappy than usual. They might be off their food, which is always worrying when they're not eating or drinking or whatever. They're going to be so drooly. Like, you're in the trenches of this, literally. The trench foot, the soaked trenches. Does she wear a bib?
I've got so much to say about the bib situation. I've
Come on.
created an entire research paragraph in the notes for this show about the saliva. It's just so much saliva. I am constantly terrified that this child is going to succumb to dehydration. How can her body... She's so small. How can she support losing this much fluid out of her mouth and not be dangerously dehydrated? I don't understand. I've got an M&S... Sorry, other supermarkets are available. I've got an M&S delivery coming this week with about 20 bibs. I had to make a special attempt at just getting someone to deliver bibs to my house. We have run out. I had to send her to nursery last week with a bag full of muslins with an apology saying, "I'm so sorry, we've run out of bibs. You'll have to just use muslins." How? There is so much saliva. I don't understand. Anyway, it's fine. I'm calm.
Why the saliva? Have you looked into why?
So, it's totally fine and normal. It's just excessive. So basically, when they've got teeth erupting, their gums are going to be inflamed, they're going to be painful. And so producing more saliva is just the natural reaction to that. It's soothing for them. It's protective. And as we know from babies just being babies, they can't really do much with their body yet. So they can't efficiently swallow the excessive saliva. So when a baby is really fresh, they will start drooling because their salivary glands switch on at some point and their mouth is like, hang on, what's all this? What's going on here? So they can't really swallow it. So it all just comes out. That kind of goes into overdrive with teething because their saliva production suddenly goes up a notch. And again, they can't really manage that amount. So all comes out their mouth. We are probably changing her bib every 20 to 30 minutes at the moment.
Oh, wow. Yeah, she is really going for it, isn't
Yeah,
she?
it's a lot. It's worse than her bottom two. With her top two has been something else. And I'm really, very interestingly, I learnt that they are obviously swallowing quite a lot as well. Mm-hmm. You know, they're trying to do their bit. So not only is there more saliva going into their guts and being processed in with what eventually comes out the other end, but it can become more acidic. So they can get quite loose stools and they can also get more nappy rash as well, just as a result of all this saliva being processed through their system. So that's also interesting because you could get that confused with general kind of illness symptoms as well in the same way.
Because that's just what you want. Your mouth's sore and then you're going to have the runs and it's all acid and sore at the other end as well. Fantastic.
Sore bum.
Sore bum.
Sore gums, sore bum.
Nice.
Also, the very interesting thing that I learned is that teething in itself does not cause a fever, which
No,
is
it doesn't.
probably something we've been told. I've been told that it does. Oh, it's a fever, it's teething.
It's the most common, oh, she's got a temperature, she's teething. But actually, in the studies that have been done, like you say, teething in itself, the eruption of a tooth does not... It might cause a slight temperature rise. Our natural temperature is about 36.5 degrees, and it could go up to 37. But actually, it doesn't hit what counts as fever levels, which is 38 and above. So babies between the ages of 6 months and 2 are prone to illness. You might have noticed this. And actually, what they're saying is it's probably something else going on top of the teething. It just happens that it's all coincident in time. And of course, even though it is a chemically orchestrated process, these teeth erupting, there is still irritation, there is still inflammation, there is a lot of fiddling in the mouth where there wasn't before. And so that is perfect breeding ground for bacteria, viruses, and the sorts of things that cause inflammation and infection over and above the actual process of the teeth coming up. So, it's likely that it's something else on top, but may also be linked to the teething process if your child has a fever.
And of course, when their gums are irritated, these children are going to be picking everything up and putting it straight in their mouth. Mm-hmm. And one hypothesis I've heard is that it's not because the teething is causing the fever, it's because they are putting lots of viruses into their mouth at that exact time.
Yes, exactly.
And so they probably do have a fever because they've probably given themselves a virus from that railing they've just tried to gnaw on.
I've got a video of Felix. He was about 1 year old and we were still sterilising all of his bottles and all of his, mouth equipment. And the video is of him literally biting the sole of my mum's shoe. I'm like, wow, the bottom of the shoe. So after that, I didn't bother sterilising anything anymore because I wasn't wasting my time.
No. I cannot tell you how reassured and happy I am to hear you say that, because Stella's fetish is licking shoes. She will see a shoe on the other side of the room and she's not crawling very well, but she'll give it a go. So she spends about 3.5 days trying to shuffle to the other end of this room on floor tiles which have no friction.
Oh,
so it's like watching a little insect try and get out of a bath. And she's trying to get to this shoe, which I know she wants to lick the underside of.
How bizarre.
And it's just like, mate, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Have you asked her what's going on?
I've tried. She's not very coherent.
No. Well, very disappointing.
But I do wonder if it's the texture of the plastic that feels nice to bite down on.
Mm-hmm. So, obviously, shoes aren't a recommended teething aid.
No.
Sorry to say that.
Other teething aids are available.
Well, indeed, what can we do to help these children who are going through hell in their short existence?
Yes. Well, Stella has got a lot of silicone teething rings, which I surround her with at all times in an attempt to get her to feel better.
Silicon is magic, isn't it? I don't think enough heed is paid to the silicon world that we live in. When I look around and think how many useful items I possess now that are made of silicon, like so many children's toys, so much cookware. It's cold, heat resistant, it's antibacterial in theory. You can't cut it, you can't chew it. It's amazing.
It's genius,
I love
isn't
it. I fucking love it.
Very good. Stay tuned for more silicon chat.
In the world pre-silicon, I found this quite interesting. I discovered that teething rings used to be made out of things like coral and animal bone and ivory, all of which are biological substances, essentially bone similar materials to that which they are actually growing. So it's like grinding gums and teeth against teeth in some ways. But one of the reasons that those materials were chosen was what's called sympathetic magic, where you basically have the association of what it was to what its purpose will now be. And so the idea is that if you've got this animal bone or, ivory animal tooth, essentially, you are invoking that animalistic animal strength that will give your child the strength to push through their pain.
That's sick.
It's so cool.
I like that. A little bit of nature magic.
Yeah, antler, ivory, bone, get a bit of animal magic in there. But of course, no, don't go slaughtering elephants just to give your child something to chew on. Silicone exists.
Silicone exists. And Leila has already given us the magic of silicone, so you can sympathise that into your life rather than murdering elephants.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, lots of different teething products. And, you know, obviously children can't tell us what they're feeling, but we can try and read their cues of what works for them and what makes them upset. And I think the general consensus is that it's not so much pain, but like irritation and maybe even itching within the gums, right? So a lot of these teething aids are designed to let them kind of just rub the gums to make them feel better. Because obviously if they were actively painful, pressing on a gum would not be a good thing. But actions like chewing on silicone or even just rubbing with your finger. This is why I did it, you see. I was soothing his pain, not just going, it's here, it's here, it's. But a clean finger, like of you actually massaging their gums, can provide some kind of relief. And in the same way, cold temperatures, like, again, it's soothing of a sort of irritation more than actually getting away from pain.
So that is very interesting, because one thing that I've learnt from you in researching this podcast is that teething gels don't work.
I know.
What?
I mean, so many of these remedies that you can literally buy at a pharmacy, you can get things like your Bongellas and your other brands are available, granules. There is barely any scientific evidence. And when I say barely any, like, what studies that have been done, they might be small, they might be biased, blah, blah, blah. There is not a vast weight of scientific evidence that says use this medication because it will make your child happy.
That is bonkers.
I know. There's barely any evidence that they work. I'd hasten to say no evidence that they work.
What I was going to say about this is that obviously we are using teething gel like it's water at the moment. Like, at this point, Stella is probably 50% teething gel. And she loves it. Like, she really quickly associated it with relief, in the sense that if she sees us coming to her with the little capsule thing, she will be like, ah, and then open her mouth as if I'm giving her a spoonful of food.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
She absolutely adores it. So I was so shocked to hear the real science on this. And that, I mean, she's made a positive association with it, and I was wondering what that could be. But I do wonder if what you say about the fact that they've maybe got a more acute sensation on their gums sort of helps to relieve achiness or something in the short term. That could be it. Maybe it is the massaging that is the thing rather than whatever's on your finger.
I mean, it could be the massaging. There's going to be a temperature difference. It's likely the finger and the gel is going to be colder. It's like a nice, smooth, cool sensation. That sounds nice to me, so, you know, if you want to come and give me a little gum rub, no, don't. Don't do that, please. Because, yeah, cold foods, any kind of massage, that seems to do the trick just as well as any kind of teething gel. But it's interesting. Felix did a similar thing about 6 months ago with an association with Calpol, because he'd be like, oh, I need medicine. And the minute he had it, he said, I feel better. And I'm like, well, it hasn't kicked in yet, so you're lying.
I think you'll find, Felix, that is scientifically implausible.
But, you know, placebos aren't ineffective. They're just a different route to feeling better. If she believes it will make her feel better, I'll let her believe that.
Yeah, magic is real.
One thing that's quite popular are amber necklaces. Have you come across that?
No, I haven't heard of that.
No, I think I fell into a little bit of a social media crevasse of people who are really pushing these sort of homeopathic or these alternative ways to soothe your baby, essentially. And amber necklaces came out. And so they're basically little beads of amber on a necklace that you put around your child's neck and then they can chew them. Do not do that.
Oh.
Anyone who's listening, do not do that. It does nothing. It might be as effective as an animal bone, fine. But if you're putting a necklace around an infant, you're asking for strangulation.
Yes, don't do that.
And also beads on strings can be cesspits for infection. I don't know if you've ever looked underneath a ring or inside a necklace. It's disgusting. Don't put that on your child. So don't use amber necklaces. In that same social media hole, I also saw somebody using, this was from the American South, using a rooster comb. So this is literally, you know, roosters have got the wobbly red things on top of their heads. Obviously, deceased chicken removed its rubbery red comb and was letting the child chew on that.
Oh.
I suppose it's sort of nature's silicone.
Yeah, I guess.
I can imagine
I
it would
guess
have a
it is.
similar texture. However, silicone exists, so do that instead.
Let's do that. One thing that we have done with Stella, because half of her is South African, and so we visited that half over Christmas, and she was teething at the time with her 2 bottom ones.
Mm-hmm.
So she spent a lot of time supervised, I will add, very closely supervised, chewing on biltong sticks. So
Oh,
like
fantastic.
South African jerky. So you could get these things called snap sticks, because obviously biltong can still be quite tender depending on how you like it. But these things called snap sticks are like just like the leatheriest, hardest version of biltong you could ever imagine. And so essentially that it's impossible for them to break any off. They just have to let biology just kind of slowly dissolve it inside their mouth. So for hours and hours they can just gnaw on it.
Oh, amazing.
She loved it.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's really nice. And unfortunately, it just meant I used to just see discarded, half-dissolved sticks of meat just on the floor randomly.
And of course, you will learn this at your developmental review tomorrow, that once they get their teeth, you are expected to help them look after them.
Oh,
Which, teeth cleaning a infant is the bane of most people's existence. Which is why they give you lots of free stuff. I hope you get your free toothbrush and toothpaste, because it's very exciting.
I didn't know to expect free stuff.
Don't get your hopes up.
I'll be furious. I'll be like, sorry, where's my swag bag?
So you're supposed to clean your teeth twice a day. Did you know that?
What?
And your child's. And obviously, young people don't know that it's good for them. It's a strange sensation. It's hell on earth trying to clean your child's teeth.
So we and Stella are in a honeymoon period with teeth cleaning at the moment. Because we've got a fun little silicone one.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, because she's still really, really little, there's only a tiny amount of toothpaste, that you put on it.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, she is essentially using her toothbrush as a teething toy.
Perfect.
So she's loving it. So essentially, any cleaning is entirely incidental. Mm-hmm. And we try our very, very best. But she loves it. But I'm so aware that as soon as this needs to become a much more targeted and systematic process, it's going to be hell to pay. We're going to have to cover this on a future episode, I think. I need your wisdom.
Gosh, well, we've got little electric toothbrushes, which is Felix is very excited by. So we went against the guidance and got him his own little electric toothbrush. It's only it's not one of these orbital ones or anything. It's just like a little vibraty toothbrush, and he absolutely loves it. And that means that he will willingly put the brush in his mouth, and I consider that a win, basically.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, most of the time he spent chewing the bristles, but I figure that's an element of cleaning. And then I do very violent modelling, like and the front and the top and the bottom. Yeah, it's a game of charades, teeth cleaning charades in the house every evening.
Oh god,
Yes.
I think this is one we have to open out to our audience in advance of doing another episode about tooths and tooth cleaning. I think we need some buy-in from the lovely people out there on how the hell they get through it.
I mean, there is an argument, and some people might make it, that kids are going to lose these teeth anyway, so why should I bother caring for them? And in the dark moments, I have thought, oh God, please can we not? But sad to say, tooth care is important even at this early stage, because even though kids are going to be losing these milk teeth, they are playing an important role. They're not going to start getting their adult teeth till about 6 years old. So for these first 4 or 5 years, those teeth still are important, and arguably more important than the adult teeth, because they are setting the stage, literally, for the adult teeth to come in. So the milk teeth make the space for the adult teeth, and so if they're not there, then there might be problems and jostling later on. They're really important for helping form speech. So if you think about how much your tongue interacts with your teeth when you speak, if your milk teeth aren't there, or if they're, sore, or you're avoiding them for whatever reason, then that speech isn't going to come through properly. And that's an issue that's related to the use of dummies, of pacifiers, because they can create an open bite, which will then affect speech. And so all of these things are tied in. So unfortunately, it is important to care for your child's teeth. And so get your wrestling belt on? Wrestling pyjamas?
Wrestling pajamas.
Oh, I'm thinking of jiu-jitsu.
I'm sure the jiu-jitsu community will be delighted with your description.
I know somebody who does jiu-jitsu, and I call it pyjamas to his face, and he hasn't tackled me to the ground yet. So.
Good. But you're so right, because it's mad, actually, to think that these kids, their jaw development, and like you say, speech development, and their hard palates, they're all growing, and the teeth and the tongue are such an important scaffold to inform how that grows and develops, that the logic of, oh, well, they fall out anyway, so we'll just make sure we look after the next set, it just simply it doesn't work like that. But I heard a really, really interesting fact from a paediatric dentist recently, which is that obviously it's difficult to know when you should start cleaning teeth. So I sought advice on this from my own dentist. So we do it now just to kind of get her used to it. But apparently it is critically important when those molars start coming through, because obviously they're at the back of the mouth, and they are somewhat bucket shaped, especially in comparison to this lot up here. So that morphology and their position mean that when you give your baby some food or a bit of milk before sleep, they're going to be lying on their back, and everything's going to be kind of pooling onto those molars, onto the surface overnight. And so they're much more vulnerable to the destructive effects of sugar, getting cavities and all that business. So the molars are really where it becomes very, very hypercritical, apparently.
Makes a lot of sense. That's it for this week's episode of the Science Baby podcast.
How was teething for you?
Does your baby have a mouthful of teeth yet?
Ooh. And please give us those tips for teeth cleaning.
Join the chat on Instagram, or find this and every podcast episode at thesciencebaby.com.
See you next time.